touchdown, Duke. Oh, sorry. This is not the Duke show. The touchdown, Duke. Touchdown, Duke.
What a way to open the show.
Yeah, touchdown, Duke. I couldn't help it. It's right over here on the side screen. The guy is right down the sideline, dives into the end zone for a touchdown. He might be out, but touchdown. Anyway, so welcome in everyone to the Oregon channel of the Voice of College Football here, talking Oregon Ducks, not the Duke Blue Devils. The Duke. Yeah, Washington State. Have to get that game out of the way because that seemed like one of those trap games, especially after Washington, before Utah. It just seemed like one of those games. And wasn't pretty by any means. Wasn't the prettiest game, but got the job done. That's all that matters at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think it was about like we thought it was going to go. I think we all had a pretty similar outlook on the game. We knew Washington State couldn't stop the ball on the ground, and that was made pretty evident today.
Yeah, if they'd have been able to run the ball at all, we would have had some serious problems.
Yeah, I mean, that ground game, we've seen it last week against Washington. We were definitely exposed there, but definitely wasn't pretty even in the past game. So, but a dub's a dub.
And that's been Washington State's problem, as we noted on the Tuesday show. That's been their whole problem this whole year. Is they cannot run the ball. They just can't. I mean, their average for the season is like literally, I think it was like 63 yards a game, and today, just off the top of my head from looking at stats, Oregon held them to 59 yards. So pretty much right on their season average. That makes you very one-dimensional. And that's with Cam Ward running, too. That's not just like straight-up running back runs or something like that. So,
yeah, he broke containment a couple of times, and
well, yeah, Ward had the most yards out of 30. I just pulled it up. They had 22 carries for 57 yards in total, and Ward had the most out of everybody at 30 yards.
Yeah. And those were all containment scramble runs pretty much, except I think he did call the one. They called the one late in the game. He had the one QB draw where he went for like 7 yards.
It says his long was 18. So that might have been
that was the one late on a containment blow up. He just ran right down the middle.
Yeah, but overall, Oregon pretty good holding him in the pocket. Like, there were a lot of times where you see the edges, their arms stretched out like, no, you are not going anywhere. He was either going to have to back up a long way and run around them or try to fit up the middle. Like, they were like, no, you are not running around. And so he had to use his arm, which he did very effectively. I will say that. His O-line held up pretty well for Washington State.
Well, in the first half, it was a little bit harder to kind of contain him, but making those halftime adjustments made it a little bit easier for us to kind of contain him a little bit, get him more into the pocket, so that way he's not hitting those open receivers down the field.
Yeah,
it was nice once they figured out.
Defense really on him too. A lot better.
Yeah, the first half, that was pretty rough. I'd say both sides for Oregon offensively. And defensively, there were good things, but then it would get away from them. And Washington State would sustain drives in that first half. That was really a killer. The second half, definitely, I mean, outside the quote-unquote almost garbage touchdown at the end,
yeah,
Oregon didn't let them do anything in the second half.
They had 3 points up in the second half up until the last 2-minute drive.
But again, how much you want to bet? That was like our second or third stringers again.
A little bit of a mix, probably definitely second string in there. Probably a little mix. Because at that point, yeah, the game was done. Oregon was just trying to bleed out the clock.
Yeah, how about the 2 stars tonight? Bucky Irving and Tez Johnson.
Well, Bucky was, of course, amazing as usual. They did have to in that first half go to James though, because Bucky was not being productive. He really wasn't. That line was focused on. They brought in James. That really opened the running game. Then Bucky got into a groove. And then, of course, he went out with the possible injury, whether he was actually laid out or wind knocked out and he just was laying there. But at least he was on the sideline. He looked good at the end of the game on his own. He looked fine. So we'll see in the next day or two. Hopefully there was no concussion. I'm sure they held him out as a potential of one injury, but maybe concussion protocol. So we'll have to see. We don't know. But hopefully he looked good at the end of the game. He was smiling. So hopefully there's nothing.
I was going to say, broadcast after the Tez's touchdown showed Bucky over there like dancing with him and high-fiving with him, joking around with the team and everything. So,
yeah, I think they just held him out. I think they just pulled him out for full precautionary reasons at that point. Like, there's no point in risking you because we need you the rest of the season. So why let him take another run even?
And they said he was in and out of the tent within a minute. So, I feel like if they're worried about a concussion whatsoever, they're going to take his helmet away, just especially being so late in the game, being out of hand. I'm going to go out on a limb and say he's going to be fine. He will be okay.
He seems fine. Like, even with concussion, like maybe there might be a mild concussion, but I don't think it would be something that they'd worry too much about to really kind of.
Yeah, I'd say it's more precautionary. We don't know the full concussion protocol of like, is it follow my finger and you miss a step and they're like, okay, you're going to just be pulled out for precautionary. It doesn't necessarily mean he has to be like, it's Wednesday, like that. So we don't know what the full standard of the testing is. But yeah, he seemed to be fine at the end of the game. He seemed to be just fine there on the sideline. So we'll definitely have to wait and see. Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to, not to get into it too much, but we're going to need it for next week.
Spaz, pay attention. You were the one bitching the most in the text conversation between us.
About what?
Everything.
Yeah, Spaz, let's hear it. What were your gripes? What were you complaining about?
Everything.
I was just at the first half. I was, typical, nerves, and are we going to see another epic Oregon-Washington State collapse again? I was just in my feelers, but towards the end of the first half, I came around and I started breathing again.
It's that PTSD. That's what we were talking about on Tuesday night, these Washington State games.
It really is, too. Especially with these games from last year.
I felt like you could feel it so early. You know what I mean? I felt like the takeover was coming eventually, and that Washington State defense was not holding up whatsoever. Typical slow start. This shit happens.
Well, it was a little bit more of a slow start, I think, than any of us expected. Like, the first few drives, they moved the ball and basically got nothing out of it, basically. And then it drug on to the very last part of the second quarter. It was like, okay, come on, guys. Wake up. It was that sluggish start, but it went a little longer, I think, than we thought it was going to.
Yeah, once they started clicking, it was over.
Yeah, I mean, I thought obviously I wasn't on the show on Tuesday because of my wife's birthday, but I thought it was definitely going to be like a quarter and a half of a slow start. Definitely not a whole half though.
I mean, it's tough.
I'm going to give full credit to Washington State, which makes me wonder what happened to them last week against Arizona. Did they kind of overlook Arizona knowing they were going on the road? Or, that it does happen with teams. I'm going to give credit fully, of course, to Arizona. But Washington State came in giving it everything they had today. This was, their game to try to knock off, arguably, 1B, if not number 2, whatever, of the pack on the road.
Right.
So credit
Well, I didn't
to
get to watch much of the Arizona.
Dicker's a good coach. Dicker's a good coach. Dicker is a good coach. He knows how to get his guys ready. Last week against Arizona, I think it was just an absolute anomaly for Washington State.
Well, and I mean Arizona too. You never kind of know with them. Like with our game with them last year, it was coming out. They're playing us tough through a quarter and a half, and then they finally just laid on their back and gave up at that point. Arizona.
Quarter and a half last year. I think the stadium started 15. I was definitely by halftime. Because it was like
by halftime it was
35-7 or something like that.
Yeah, but they eventually laid down. So, but Arizona definitely still tries to come out and play their hardest at that point. But
it's all Sean's fault.
It ain't my fault you see me and you think of cookies, okay?
Cookies. I'm going to send Sam to the store. He's going to give me some goddamn cookies.
Yeah, I don't know, but it seemed like once Oregon figured that they could run the ball at will, that was the moment when that offense really started to click. It like the first couple drives, at least it felt like they could move the ball, but then there'd be like a late holding, our ineligible man downfield, which we saw 2 or 3 times tonight. And it just kind of, yeah, I know. I'm thinking of T-Fergs, especially when he drugged 9 defenders with him for 10 yards for nothing. But, it's once they figured out they could move the ball on the ground, it was over, man. Every drive was finished with a touchdown, it felt like, from, mid-second quarter on out.
Yeah, that one I texted you. I was like, wow, all of that for a 5-yard penalty. I was like, wow. Wow.
Yeah, I get it. That's a tough penalty, especially, when Bo's back there running around for 8 seconds at a time for these linemen not to start to chase their blocks a little bit. But, man, it's just tough to see when, you get something nice out of it and it's all for nothing.
Well, that's true.
I need to pull this up just because I can't remember off the top of my head, so I just stop here. I don't remember exactly off the top of my head what the I'm going to have to minimize one of the games. Damn it. I only have so many screens.
Utah just long touchdown.
What was our penalties? Yeah, they haven't updated this yet. Let me update this again. No, they did not update this yet. Does anyone remember what the final penalty count was for Oregon?
Last time I remembered it was like 8 for like 73 and 6 for 40.
Okay.
Derek's got
it was 7 for 45.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was like, it was somewhere in I know at least 6. And which is one of the issues still, even at home, is that I had that marked down with the few notes I actually did have was all starts. Hard. And now it's like moving along the line. It's not just, it's, this guy. Now it's Cornelius. And it's not, or it was Connerly at the beginning. Now it's Cornelius. Mm-hmm. I'm like, All right, what is happening? What is
I mean, I don't know if you can notice the same thing. It looked like it was like, Oregon, they ran all the pulls and traps for guards and, tackles. It seemed to me like it was always on those plays where they're just a step behind, and they're trying to get that extra little twitch on the line, and the shit was just not going.
Especially from Cornelius. Like, he had 2 or 3 of those in there. I know 2 at least.
Mm-hmm. He had a couple different penalties. I don't know if they were both false starts, but I know he had one. One might have been holding. I'm not sure, but he had 2. I know 2 penalties called against him. I'm pretty sure.
I think one was the false start. The other was the holding. Maybe they were both false starts.
Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head. I think one was a hold where he literally grabbed the guy and was turning around and he still was holding him. That's what got the hold. Something like that. But the point is, yeah, he had a couple penalties on him. But then Connerly tonight, nothing, allegedly. Unless the man downfield was on him. I'm not sure. They don't specify. They just say man downfield. But yeah, the false starts, though, that's at home. That should not be happening at home. I mean, it shouldn't.
It's only 2.
Only 2, but still, they shouldn't be happening. Like, you're at home. You're not in a hostile territory like a Washington or a Wazoo or the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, just remember the conversations we were having weeks 2, 3, and 4 when they had 10, 11, 13 penalties for 195, all that yard. It is what it is. These stupid penalties, yeah, it sucks. But at the end of the day, they're going to happen. I'll take 5 ineligible men downfield over, 4 stupid deep pass interference penalties on 3rd and 18, and like we were seeing in the Tech game.
But at the same time, you can go back to that conversation of, 10, 12, 13, 15 penalties in a game compared to 7 now. It's still cleaned up more than it was in those first few weeks.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I didn't get the retro one. They're damn expensive. And they didn't have my size, actually, when I went to buy them.
I just couldn't afford it. I ain't Mr. Derek over here. Yeah, Mr. Richie Rich.
I couldn't afford it, but they didn't have my size, so.
Yeah, I set my notifications. I'm too deep in the jersey collections now to miss a drop, so I gotta make sure I stay on my shit.
Oh, perfect timing, actually. This is the play I was trying to think of, because actually that was one of my highlights. This is perfect. This is the play. Thank you. For once, ESPN is going to do something different. There will be no audio. Copyright. Can we give some love tonight to Patrick Herbert also? He is becoming, finally, the second tight end fully in this offense. And this blow-up that he did on Wazoo, the guy didn't even know where the ball was. And Patrick Herbert, he turned around and Patrick Herbert was like, yo, bitch. Volume. I was like, dude, I think he just killed someone. It was beautiful. It's a little fuzzy probably, but there we go. Look at Herbert over here. Look at number 8. Volume, get out of the way.
Get out of here.
The guy didn't even know where the ball was. The guy was just like, where did it go? Like, Oh, it was such a great play.
I was trying to turn the back, otherwise that could have been an easy block in the back.
Exactly. Well, exactly. It was perfectly because the guy just turned enough where it was like head on, like nah. It was so good.
And what he wasn't expecting, that shit hurt. Ultimate.
Oh yeah, that
he
guy
was feeling it walking to the sideline.
The film study
see it right here.
Is gonna be like, dude, what were you looking at? Like, because he had no idea where the ball was.
Wham!
The film study for that.
I saw a funny comment. Someone said his controller fell asleep.
Roughing the blocker.
Roughing the blocker. Yeah. The blocker who has no idea where the ball is. Yeah, exactly. The poor guy.
Yeah, I just gave up on the play. All of a sudden, you're just laid the hell out.
I don't know. Yeah, this game was like such a weird one because it was such a slow start, and it just kind of stretched. Even though offensively in the second half, Oregon came to life, while Sioux still had the ball a lot, even though they had scored really the field goal and the trash touchdown. But this game just felt like that real sleepy. Oregon just kind of sleptwalked through this. That's what it really felt like. And again, is this Oregon looking ahead to next week? I don't think so. I think it's just that real hangover.
Well, and I feel like, too, that, like, the announcers are saying, like, do we feel like this was like a sandwich game? Because you have Washington last week, Wazoo this week, Utah next week, who may, honestly, I'm saying is beating USC tonight. But is it that sandwich game of like that hangover? And I think we kind of saw that of it's definitely a hangover of like how do you respond? Like we only put up 33 against Washington last week. 38 this week, being the nation's #1 offense. Like it was definitely a hangover. And you can kind of tell that even with the offense, like even with it getting going.
Which we still put up over 550 yards of offense. So, I mean, at the same time, we're still following the #1 trend of over 550 yards a game. It just didn't result in the points. Like, I know Spaz had a mental breakdown when Lewis missed the one field goal, and he was like, fuck Lewis. Fuck him. Fuck our kicker. Fuck. Yes. I dropped the F-bomb multiple times in a row. I don't care. I can do what I want on this show. But yeah, Spaz, you had a mental breakdown. And I'm like, hey. It's all right.
No, dude.
We had to calm you down. You were having a heart attack.
It's my sports curtains, David. I've got all football, basketball, baseball, a variety of different numbers.
Oh. I didn't even see David's post. I was like, who the fuck is David? And then I saw the post pop up and I'm like, oh, David. I was like, who is Dave? Who are you talking to?
Hey, breaking news. USC has found a running game. Marshawn Lloyd goes in from 45 yards out.
All right, not gonna worry.
Breaking news, ain't nobody give a fuck.
Yeah, I'm not gonna worry about that right this moment. Tom, how many times do we have to tell you? All three of us have a collective that says, "Spaz, you need to pay attention." We're talking Oregon here. We need to talk Oregon.
He who opened up touchdown Duke.
I opened the show with that, and then we reverted back to Oregon. That is breaking news. It is kind of breaking news. I am surprised by that. And I'm also noticing how USC is now doing the UCLA thing. It looks like they put a tarp over part of their stands. I'm seeing that in the corner of my eye. Like one of the far benches, they put a banner over it, and it's all empty.
Oh,
they lost the game.
It's a good way to make sure their stadium looks full, I suppose.
But yes, this.
Unlike Autzen, it's always sold out.
What do you say?
Yeah, that's why I never understand when people talk shit about Oregon. Like, oh, it only holds this many. It's like, yeah, it's always sold out. If you can't sell it out, don't have that many seats. Hence why other stadiums have downgraded it sometimes over the years. because they haven't been able to sell it out, and they still can't, even though they downgraded. So, actually thinking about that, I'm going to find something right here. Talk amongst yourselves about something important. What about Evan Williams, that fourth down stop at the end of the game? Towards the end, not the very end, but towards the end of the game, kind of to really shut the door on Washington State. Because Evan Williams, for the last couple weeks, he's had some rough plays. He has not been in position. He's missed guys. He has been out of place. He's been a little slow attacking. Today, he seemed to be a little bit more in position a lot more times, a little quicker than he has been.
Yeah, it's our secondary that's getting killed now, and that's because we're down some players in the secondary.
Well, yeah, like I was gonna bring up Evan Williams anyways. Like, there was supposed the PI there that you go back and replay. It's like there was no PI, obviously. I mean, they called it back, but they said it was on him, and he was nowhere near that receiver at all. But at the same time, like, it really is our secondary. Like, our secondary is getting lit up because Kyrie's hurt. Obviously, I think we said he didn't record a snap today. J Flo is hurt too, still recovering. Yes, he was practicing, but when you're down your top two corners, obviously you're going to get lit up in the pass game.
Is J Flo our number 2 corner?
Yeah, he's been who has typically been starting opposite of Kyrie.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of to be expected, though. I mean, we really talked about this on Tuesday as well. We knew Washington State was going to spread the ball out. That's what they do. They can't run the ball, so they spread it out. They're going to get their yards. That's what Washington State is. I mean, even last week against Arizona, they weren't, completely stifled. They were moving the ball, a couple turnovers, some errant plays. I mean, but it's for a patchwork secondary today. I mean, I'm just looking at the stats. Over 22 players recorded a stat today. So whether that be a sack, whether that be a tackle, even an assist. But it just tells you how much of that rotation was going on today. We saw dudes like Justin Jacobs for the first time in today who played some significant minutes. Nico Reed got started for the first time all year in the nickel slot. I mean, who else am I looking at here? Obviously, Dante Manning came in. Blake Purchase, the true freshman, he recorded his first career sack today. So, I mean, it's just
about that.
Yeah, it was a lot of rotational stuff. And with that offense, we knew Washington State wasn't going to slouch. Like I believe Mark brought up in the comments, we knew we were going to get the best version of them. If there's a couple games they have circled on their calendar, Oregon's probably one of them at Autzen, where they want to go out and make a statement, especially when they're looking for a conference for next year or to attract some new members. So, I mean, I'm not mad about it at all. I understand Cam Ward threw for, 438 yards. Don't get me wrong. That's not great. I mean, we never want to see that. But at the same time, I will say the defense absolutely stepped up when they needed to. I mean, especially in the second half, they figured out they spied Jeffrey Bassa a lot. And that really kind of cut down on Cam Ward running around playing schoolyard football in the pocket. But overall, I'm happy with the defense.
Turnover on downs? I know 2. Sure. What did we end up with? 3 turnover on downs or 2?
I think just the 2. The one at the very end by Evan Williams, but maybe there was another. I don't remember.
There was one in the first half where we stopped them.
I think there was 2.
There was 3.
Was it 3? Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, Washington State was 1 for 4 on fourth down.
It
is interesting, though.
This is a lot. What some teams don't realize when they say, "Oh, you get this many passing yards," like, "Well, we only get this many rushing." A lot of teams don't face air raid offenses like a Washington State or like a quote unquote former Mike Leach team, like what Mississippi State used to be, what Washington State used to be, what Texas Tech used to be. They don't face teams like that. So when you do, if you completely remove one side of the ball, which they still tried to run the ball, you're gonna give up yardage some way. And Washington State is not a bad team. They just are that mid-level Pac-12 team. That's kind of where they are. They're going to give you their all, but they're going to run out of steam at some point, and that's what they did. They gave everything they could, I think Oregon was asleep for half the game. And,
Well, I mean, you can even look at Washington last week. Like, once Kyrie and Jay Flo went down, you seen we got lit up. Like, you knew making Cam Ward try to pass it, we were going to absolutely get lit up there. No matter what.
And I get our secondary last week, especially when we were texting her and I'm going, oh Christ, both down at the same time, crap. And they still did a pretty decent job though, as back filling in as a second string corners. They did a pretty decent job, surprisingly, against Washington. So this was a lot of over the middle and a lot of broken down plays where Cam Ward just ran around, then all of a sudden dunked it over the middle after like 5 to 6, 7 seconds, where the other guys were like just weren't able to cover anymore. So a lot of that was credit to Cam Ward, just making plays happen, more than necessarily design plays.
Well, I mean, I think they had 580 something yards, 275 of that came in the first half. So you look at that, defense really held them to maybe under 200 yards at that point in the second half.
Yeah, totally. It was 489 and like 59 rushing. So I mean, they still had 540 some yards offense plus. So I mean, it's not like we didn't give up yards, definitely.
But I mean, you take out that
all them where we needed to.
Take out that last garbage time drive. That's under 500 yards. At that point, and outside of that, defense held up 3 points in the second half outside of that touchdown, which was an obvious garbage time. We made those right adjustments to contain Ward, not let him extend those plays, those 5-6 seconds, run around, kind of getting him back in that pocket.
Yeah, I mean,
and that's where both Justin Jacobs did it. Yeah, they figured out how to stop him finally. I mean, we saw it in flashes in the first half, but once they had a dedicated spy, the pass rush was able to get in the backfield as soon as the play broke down. We saw the spy crash. It was like that was the adjustment they needed up and by far, because after that, like you said, look at the dude had what did he have, 130 yards in the first half alone? He was absolutely shredding that zone, which, like we said, they're going to give up some yardage. It wasn't necessarily resulting in the points they wanted, but they were giving up some yardage up there. But as soon as that play stopped being able to be a broken play and Cam Ward doing Cam Ward things, making the plays 5 seconds longer and expecting your DBs to trail for 8 seconds, it's not feasible. He's a great quarterback. But once they figured out how to shut that down, it seemed like everything flipped.
Well, that's a good point too. That's something I forgot to note was during the second half, you could tell they were like 5 guys in the line. One would drop back and sit about 3 yards deep and just watch him, and let the other 4 close in. And when Cam would see the spy, he'd be like, "Uh-oh," and the pocket would close. So they did contain him a lot better. It was a spy, which is a good thing, I think, also to go against someone like Washington State because, again, not to look ahead, we're not talking about the game, but in a few weeks we have USC. And what does Caleb Williams like to do? We're going to have a spy on him pretty much all times. Pretty much, you're going to have a spy. Or send 5 or 6, at least every time, and collapse. But I think you're going to have a spy.
But I will say this, though, with Caleb, he hasn't been running as much since he got hurt. He hasn't been running very much this year.
Don't give USC excuses why he's not running. He's still food. Don't give them excuses. They'll make every excuse.
They have enough hope.
I was gonna say, but we seen Justin Jacobs' speed today on that sack. Really, we keep him as a spy. That dude's catching anybody.
Yeah, he came out around the offensive lineman and then tracked Cam down and just murdered him.
Well, yeah, to be honest with the 4th linebacker, they have a great linebacking core. It's just a matter of putting it together between Betcher, Jamal Hill, Jeffrey Bassa, and now Justin Jacobs. I mean, Jeffrey Bassa, he's been pretty clutch all year. He's obviously Mr. Reliable back there. Jamal Hill's really turned it on this year, kind of like we talked about before the year. We thought he was one of those players that could really bloom. And now finally getting to Justin Jacobs. This dude's, all we've heard from camp is how hard-hitting he is and how fluid he is on the field. But, until we were able to see it in the game, we had no idea. To see it tonight, though, see him fly around, that was a welcome sight, to say the least, especially when early in the season our linebacker play was shaky at best.
Yeah, you're cracking all over the place, Derek.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, we see Justin Jacobs now, like, that dude, now that he's actually healthy, he's going to get a lot more playing time. Like, seeing what he can do today, he's going to get more playing time going forward. We may, as much as we love Bryce, we may see a lot less of him with what Justin can do.
I think a lot of it will depend on the matchups, too, and, the schematics and, the other thing I will say is that, defensively, our run defense, it seems to be really well. Our front seven does phenomenal. We just got to be able to contain the receivers, and we don't really have a trio of receivers to worry about until November 11th. Obviously, next week with Utah, their number one receiver just went down with a season-ending injury. They're without their quarterback probably for the rest of the year, so they're starting to become the Utah we all knew growing up. Terrible.
I mean, yeah, they're still a team you got to be careful of. It's not like I don't think anyone's going in next week saying that, Utah's light work. Those guys, that's a tough team regardless of who is, playing quarterback. Yeah, they struggle to score. That defense is good, though.
I was going to say, yeah, like, I don't want to sleep on Utah.
Hey.
That's a Heisman Trophy winner. I mean, if there's an offense they were going to give up some yards to, it would be this one. We'll see next week. Back-to-back, top offenses.
I like with the fact that USC's being able to run on them right now, shows me maybe there's some exposure in that Utah defense that we might be able to expose next week.
That's how Oregon State won. Oregon State won by running the ball at them.
Yeah.
That's Oregon State's move. Like,
I think that's going to be the type of game that's going to be next week, I think, is, who controls the tempo the best, who's able to finish these drives. And, field goals, this ain't going to be no 15-9 game.
Yeah, so you ain't got to worry about Andre Maldonado kicking field goals out there, Spaz.
I feel bad for the kid. He's had a rough couple of weeks. I don't know if you guys saw the announcers were talking about it after he missed that field goal, about how he's deleted all his social media accounts because of the game last week, and he told his parents on the flight home to take his jerseys off because he was embarrassing. And they're like, "No, you're our son. We'll never stop supporting you." And so he's had a rough couple weeks.
Yeah, it didn't help with you trash talking fucking Lewis on the text, going, "God damn our kicker!" I'm like, dude, lay off Lewis.
Was it
life
you?
Of the kicker, the life of a kicker is tough.
Was it you or Sean that said in the text about, well, we can always give you Maldonado back?
That was
Ben.
Yeah,
I told you to shut the fuck up.
I think I said that multiple times to everyone during the chat.
Spaz needs to go on a game day, where they have the students kick the ball for like $30,000-$60,000, whatever. We need to see Spaz on there because I have a feeling that motherfucker ain't gonna be close whatsoever. That
Honestly,
ball is going flying any which way.
Honestly, I'm surprised we didn't get the, hey, we need that kid from game day last week in the text chat.
Spaz will like tear a thigh muscle, like break an ankle and stuff like that. Like, dude, it was a 20-yard field goal. Are you kidding me? Hush over the crowd.
Is that Mike Fort in our chat?
I hope not. No, I don't think so.
Gave up 400 passing yards. It sounds like something Michigan would say.
Nah, he would come in as Mike Fort. Mike Fort would just show up as Mike Fort. Yeah. Give up. Yeah. Well, when you go against a passing offense, you're going to give up passing yards. And then, yeah, we didn't have Jackson on the field, so that didn't help well either. But I think everyone stepped up in the right way.
Well, I don't feel like the defense really took a step back. I mean, you gotta give credit where credit's due. Like, we're playing without essentially our two starting corners. You're gonna give up those yards to an air raid passing attack. So I don't really feel like that defense really took a step back. Maybe in the first half of the hangover. After that, again, essentially only allowing the 3 points outside of the garbage time TD. I don't feel we did take that step back at all.
Well, that's why I said a lot of teams don't have to deal with air raid attacks. Whereas, like the Pac-12, like they showed the highlight during the game of like the top 10 quarterbacks like in the country, like pass yards per game, consistency, QBR, touchdowns, everything. The Pac-12 has like 7 of them. You're gonna give up yardage, so that wasn't the thing. Yeah, it was more how sleepy that first half was for Oregon. That was more maybe that hangover part. Plus with next week's game, so Washington State was that kind of trap game. They were kind of in there in between. They've come off 2 losses.
I feel like Washington State is obviously that kind of trap game for us every year. Obviously, we're going to have to find somebody else to be a trap team next year, but Washington State is usually that trap team for us because we could be number 2. Washington State could come in and just absolutely kick the crap out of us at that point.
Oh, pick 6 Duke! I'm sorry. I meant to be muted. Pick 6 Duke.
You want to see those fuck teams in the top
17-7 Duke over Florida State right now.
Touchdown Utah, tie game in LA.
This is why I can't watch games while I'm doing this stuff. It's so hard because I have another screen. I'm like,
Pac-12 doesn't always have the best quarterbacks, David, but this year and last year we're definitely getting some of the we might have 1 or 2 decent quarterbacks overall on a regular basis over the years, but I can't remember the last time we've had 6 possible Heisman Trophy candidates in the Pac-12.
I don't even know 6, but
I mean
2013, 14, those were some good years, like with Mariota, Darnold coming in and stuff like that.
But I still feel like it's only like maybe 2 or 3. Like this year we have basically half the conference are really good quarterbacks. That's a good point. We had Andrew Luck at one point at Stanford.
His last year was 2012?
2012 or 2013, something like that. But still, we've had some really, really good quarterbacks in the Pac-12. But this year, it's just you've got Bo, you've got Caleb, you've got Penix, you've got Ward. if Rising was playing, you have Rising, Mateo's brother.
Fafita now for Arizona. He's not a Heisman, but I mean that guy's like
Yeah, he took over
Well,
Jake
he's-
Laura's spot. He's not getting it
that
back.
guy's killing it.
He's been playing lights out since he took over for Jaden DeLora.
I'm just
Like, I
glad we
think
don't
it
have
was
to play him.
I think it was Mark earlier said, is Arizona looking to be the scariest team in the pack right now? And like I responded, absolutely, 100%. I would not want to face them. And I believe next week the Beavers got to go down to Tucson to play Arizona. So that could be a good game.
I definitely believe it at this point. Since making that quarterback switch, Arizona's been
Catching
lights out.
fire.
Yeah, they've been a lot better. I mean, I think DeLora went down with like a small injury. That's why Fafita went in. But since he started, he came
He's
in.
losing his job though.
Yeah, they are not giving it back. They
His
are not
job's
giving it
bye-bye.
back to DeLora. I saw this the other day. I just wanted to bring this up because this is going to be like I think cringy if people didn't see this with going to the Big Ten. So we're not talking about Big Ten games. We're not talking about opponents. We're talking about shit. Autzen, they said they want to update it. Of course, the stadium, right? Fine, update it. Spaz is dying over there. It's like, please, no.
No.
Spaz can't keep focus right now.
This is apparently the projected rendition someone made. I'm like, oh God, please no. No. It's
What?
awful. Do not update it to look like that. Do not.
I ain't sitting up there.
Yeah, I think that's their big thing. They want to update it to like add in, obviously second layer, and then on this side, I'm like, no, please update the seating maybe to make it a little bigger, but you don't need to go. Keep the charm, like this is awful.
I could see adding some more in there because obviously you're gonna have more people from Michigan, Ohio, Iowa, places like that coming from with the Big Ten, but like that looks like you're trying to turn it into SoFi Stadium at that point.
Yeah, that was my thing. I'm like this. We don't need to be though, 80, 90, 100,000 seat stadium. Move it to like from like 54, whatever. Move it to like 60, 65 maybe. Maybe add like one row or two extra like on top and stuff to make up the. But we don't need to do this. This is just some rendition. This is not like official. Plus, I like how the stadium is full and there's still like 20,000 people outside for no fucking reason at all. For some reason, everyone's just like, hey, we have all these people outside. We're just going to add people outside for
The
no
only
reason at all.
problem with renovating Autzen is if you do, there's a lot of nostalgic seating that's going to have to be pulled out of there. There's a good chunk of bench seating on both sides, from about the 20 in, that you're going to have to get rid of those wooden benches and make seats in there or something.
I don't see this happening anytime soon. And I really hope it never gets like this. Because this is just weird. Kind of.
David's right. They need more bathrooms and more beer vendors. It's horrible.
Well,
Worst place in the world to find a bathroom or get anything to drink or eat without it taking a freaking 35 minutes or whatever to get to and from your seat. Ridiculous.
Hey, they're lucky. Texas Tech, it took me like 30 minutes to get a beer.
Gonna need a screen as big as Gillette Stadium, okay? Especially looking like that.
I was like, ooh, please, God. Nope, can't play that. That'll get a
It
copyright.
take long. Kickoff return 99 yards, Florida State.
Yes, I saw this. It's on the screen over here. Spaz, will you focus?
I am focused.
He's just like you when you watch your football. You ain't focused in here either.
I saw it, and I continue to talk about expansion of Oregon State.
I don't know,
With a nice run.
I've never been to Autzen, so it's like seeing like the views even from like game day, some of the views from outside. It's like I feel like you change that charm of Autzen. You're just
Oh yeah, VIP club. VIP club.
you're gonna get the cheerleaders in there for that one.
Looks like the strip club is popular.
Not you, Spaz.
Milking the clock.
Not you. What the?
No.
No.
Ain't nobody
Spaz
want to
isn't
see that.
invited to the
Spaz.
strip club.
Come on.
That's the VIP season ticket holders.
That's Uncle Phil's personal lounge.
Probably. Who knows? He might have been pushing for one of those for years.
Hey, you
Like,
never
I'm
know.
giving you all this money. Can I get a strip club? No? Come on.
Those are up in the suites.
Well, yeah, Washington State, sleepy game for the next week, obviously on the road at Utah, which obviously we have to see what Utah does tonight with USC. And as noted, randomly, end of the first 14-14. So Utah apparently can has an offense on the road without
That's
Cameron.
USC. Yeah, of course.
Against USC's defense, anybody can have an offense.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to tell the other guy, the USC guys all the time. I'm like, yeah, but your defense. You don't need to have an offense to score against your defense. So we're going to see. Obviously, it's only first quarter, but have to see how this game plays out. But
Could be a
playing
fun interaction tomorrow.
or tonight, later tonight.
USC losing 2 in a row.
But playing at Utah is a different deal than, Utah playing on the road. Utah at home, you have the fan base, student section. And something I said, like with Oregon and Washington last week, was Oregon already went through the test at Texas Tech, overcame it. They went to Washington, dealt with that crowd, and easily had a chance to win the game. Easily had a chance. And so I think that they have now been tested both a couple of times on the road in very tough environments. So Rice Eccles is different, but I think that that's a good thing for them. That's a good thing for all teams.
I just like to know why it seems like it's been 10 years since we've had Utah at Autzen. Oh, we're playing Utah.
It was
Yeah,
last
Rice
year.
Eccles.
Last year we had them at Autzen, didn't we?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I thought last year we had them.
won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last year
Last
we had
year
them
we
at
won
Autzen.
2017 with a busted Bo Nix.
Yeah. You are,
Wow.
absolutely.
I forgot about that one.
Jesus, Spaz.
You know what we about to tell you, Spaz?
I am paying attention, gosh darn it.
No, we're gonna tell you to stop smoking that devil's lettuce.
Yeah, a lot of people forget about that game because Nix was hurt. We'd already lost. So it was kind of like one of those in-between games. We lost to Washington. Then we had to have Utah, and Knicks was like, so it was like one of those.
Yeah,
I barely remember that game because I didn't even get to watch it. I was traveling, so I just got to watch the updates later, and I was like, "Holy shit, we won!" I was surprised. I was like, "Holy shit, we won!"
Yeah, I feel like that's going to be a similar type of game. Oregon's offense is clearly improved from last year, but you know how Utah is. They love to control the tempo of the game. They love to keep it close. Their defense is chippy. I mean, their offense is kind of trash so far. I mean, I don't want to jinx it going into next week, but
last year's game, my wife yelled at me because she thought I was disturbing the neighbors because I was yelling so much. I think that's the only time she's yelled at me in the 3 years we've been together.
I was about to say, I was like, I have a question for everyone here on the poll. But yes, David, this would not be the first time that Spaz has gotten a little loopy. Watch the end of Saturday's or Tuesday's post or weekly show on Tuesday. We shut it down because Spaz literally didn't know where he was. I was like, all right, we're done. We're shutting this down. Yeah. How many times here, including everyone in the chat, how many times have you watched a football game where someone who was either in the house, asleep, whatever, had to come and tell you to shut the fuck up? I've had it happen probably mostly from one ex of mine. I've had it happen twice. 2010 national championship game at like midnight. Came out and was like, we gotta go on vacation. We're leaving at 7:30 in the morning. Shut the fuck up. As I'm screaming at the TV, he was down. And at least one other time that I can recall. How many times have people had people tell you to shut up while watching football game?
Most of the time for me, weekly. I ain't gonna lie, at least weekly. I mean, sitting there against Texas Tech, my mom had to yell at me to shut the fuck up. My wife had to yell at me to shut the fuck up. Like, everybody in this house had to yell at me, Sean, shut your fucking mouth. So, and right now, especially being the fan I am of the Sunday team, yeah, it's weekly. So,
to be honest, that's why I got to watch the games alone for the most part. You know what I mean? I can't be with other people and act the way I want to act during the game without looking like a fucking maniac. So I like to watch the games alone for the most part.
That's why I do it in front of my employees, okay? They can think I'm a maniac.
They just leave you alone. They're like, you know what? We're going to go over here while you do this.
I'm not getting his cookies.
Bet your jinx.
Oh, trust me. If I had been at home watching Texas Tech game, but I was at the stadium, I would have been probably screaming. But the Texas Tech game, there was enough noise around me where I was like, I don't need to yell.
Well, it's more acceptable when you're there. I just feel like an idiot when I'm screaming at my TV.
Feeling like they can hear us. Landon, Landon can hear us from the middle of our living rooms, computer desk, wherever we watching the game.
Yeah, I'll be letting everybody know who fucked up and where they fucked up at. Yeah.
Especially those cornerbacks. She's like, hey, you broke down here. Get back on him. Go. Defense, stop getting stood up.
Yeah, I think that fits over with.
It's only close. It's only close games that you get noisy with. When it's been the ones in the past where it's blowouts, I just silently turn off the TV and go, I can't take them. There's only been 2 or 3 of those over the years, like over the last 10 years, especially. There's only been 2 to 3 of those where I'm like,
I had my buddy.
I'm just not going to watch it anymore.
I had my buddy over today before the game, and he was still here when the game was starting in the first couple of drives, and I'm like, God damn it. He's like, whoa, dude.
Yeah,
And
there
my wife
haven't been
said,
a lot of.
nothing. You should have Saturday, Sunday, and then Blazer season. Geez, when they all three combine.
Oh, guys, your poor heart, Spaz.
Yeah.
Yeah, there haven't been a whole lot of games I've ever had to turn off. I think I turned off the national championship game the last 3 minutes against Ohio State, the Georgia game last year, the Washington game where they beat us like by fucking 51 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
That one got turned off. Mario's Pac-12 championship game against Utah, that one got shut off. Yeah, there's been a few.
Yeah,
That-
mine was
that
there
Mario-
was the Washington one, the Utah one in 2015, and there was one other one. I was like, I just can't anymore. I don't remember which one it was. It might have been the Pac-12 championship one. I think by the fourth quarter, I was like, yeah, might have
Yeah,
been that one.
definitely say Georgia I turned off too, just because I was like, all right, we're done. You know, like
I had to do a live post game after that show last year, so I had to watch the whole game and then talk about it for an hour by myself. So all of you pussies on here, can I? It's my damn show. I can do whatever the hell I want. I can say whatever I want to say.
Ohio State.
I'll hear from Mark later.
the Ohio State national championship. I was in a restaurant, so I wasn't able to turn that one off. But I had this jersey before. That Mario Pac-12 championship game, I took it right here and I ripped it straight down the middle. I was so pissed off.
Oh,
Turned it off. Was like, all right, jersey's gone. Fuck this. I'm not a Duck fan anymore. Only to return next year.
Well, that one was just especially brutal because we got fucking dog walked by Utah, like, what was it, 2 weeks prior? And then we knew exactly what needed to be fixed. They rolled out the same offense, the same defense, and Oregon approached it the same way and got fucking lit up. Anthony Brown could not buy passing yards that game. It was just, that was horrendous. That was a bad one.
Anthony Brown can't buy a first down to save his own face.
Hey, you know what? To be honest,
Then he went to the NFL. He started dropping 40-yard back shoulder passes downfield. And I'm like, yeah, that's the crystal ball effect.
Again, I've said I'm not an Anthony Brown fan, but again, that shows you what a coach, getting a real coach, can do, not crystal ball.
Well, I mean, to be honest,
the coach letting the OC do their job.
Anthony Brown, he'll forever have a place in my heart, though. That Ohio State game, him and CJ Verdell, they took care of business that day. He was a dog that day. I'm forever grateful. We at least have one win against Ohio State, and it came on the road, not a neutral site. So he always has his place in my heart for that.
And next year we get to host Ohio State.
But guess what? We about to beat the hell out of them even more. Not just whenever they want inside.
We'll see our quarterback situation.
I'm buying tickets and inviting Mark to that.
Oh, no. To be honest, I mean, I know we're not getting into off-season shit, but just to touch on it a little bit, that's the one thing I really worry about in the off-season is what we're looking at quarterback next year. I mean, obviously we can get into it a little later, but yeah, that's one that really, it makes me nervous, to be real honest.
That
may be one I have to fly into Oregon for, just to see that, since we're playing them at home.
I ain't worried.
Yeah, I get too stressed out. I can't be there.
He's not stressed out now because he's high.
You got to come out.
Wait till next year. It's a game one. He's gonna be.
I say we all buy Ohio State next year.
Just wait till week one of next year, and we're all sitting here again, just stressing the hell out over Ohio State.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I know how it's going already.
I think you guys all need to buy tickets and fly up here, and we'll all go.
We'll see. Well, tickets aren't on sale for quite a while, so we don't have to worry about that.
They ain't bad. They won't be over maybe $100.
That'll probably be the most expensive of the season once they go on sale.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, hold on, they're not even on sale yet. Relax.
I just know our average of where our ticket sales usually are.
This is an interesting one. Can't wait to see Cristobal lose again tonight. I don't know if I want to see Clemson win or Miami win because I don't know who I want to see cry more. The Clemson fans or the Miami fans. I'm not sure. I'm kind of torn on this one. Kind of torn.
If I have to sit through and if I have to sit through tomorrow night and listen to Go Blue talk about how Michigan's this and this and this again.
No, I'm shutting that. I am shutting that crap down before the show starts. I'm not doing that. I'm so tired.
Because they're up 28-0 now, and I can already hear him.
Yeah, and I'll just go like this. Yeah, that's great. I'm gonna shut it down before the show starts, but I'm gonna be like, well, also, you wouldn't have been if you hadn't stolen so many signs.
Yeah.
Just bring up their sign stealing scandal. You'll be fine.
Also, again, they talk shit about like we blew out Rutgers, we blew out Indiana. It's like, well, Rutgers just destroyed Indiana also. So what does that to say? Yeah, it's like, what does that to say about you? It's like, stop stealing the signs. They also Michigan. Update on that for the people here who are listening. I know it's not important to the show. Obviously, it doesn't matter. Michigan suspended someone from their team scout, their scout team, not player, but an actual scout, like official, like. They suspended them from the team because of allegedly being the one that's going to do it, the scouting. So I'm like, that's big news because someone actually was suspended. That means someone actually was doing something or is alleged to have been doing it. So that's actually big news.
Or they may just be investigating that person and suspending them in the meantime. You never honestly know.
I know, but the fact that they did suspend someone.
Usually they don't suspend you unless they have some kind of
proof.
Yeah.
Generally, that's pretty big. I mean, in a sense, because if it was just it's just word of mouth, whatever. It's just accusations. The team wouldn't do anything. But if they're going, well, actually, this guy might have been doing that. You know what? Suspend him. It's still kind of big news. It's like,
how about I got something? How about that phenomenal, just spectacular game down in Little Rock today with Arkansas and Mississippi State? What a battle that was.
Didn't watch it. I don't even know what the score was.
It was just, without watching it, Ben, all I would have to tell you is it was like watching 1930s Big Ten football, and that's about how that game went. So, I mean, do with that information as you will. It was
I know. I saw enough terrible Big Ten football today.
No, this was the SEC, and it was 7-3 was the final, and both teams scored on their opening possession. One a field goal, one a touchdown, and then nothing for 54 minutes late.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was like Big Ten football, where there's no offense. Right. It's a defensive slugfest the whole way through, and that shit was brutal.
Yeah, I posed on one of our Discords. I was like, yes. Can we just admit that the Big Ten has absolutely terrible offenses?
Shit.
Like,
it was like watching paint dry if you were watching that game. Yeah. Or should I say it was like watching Iowa all year long?
All of them were just awful. I mean, yeah, like Ohio State, Penn State. I'm sorry, you can say they're great defenses. Who again? What offensive team have they played? Either of them. Are any of the offenses they played in the top 50?
Try toast.
And then they couldn't score against each other, so it's like your offenses are probably not that good either. They couldn't hit shit. It was like what
No.
20? What was it? 22, like 20 to 15 at the
20
end.
to 12, Ohio
20
State.
to 12 after Penn State scored late. Yeah, 20.
Yeah, there are no like offenses in the Big Ten right now that I look at and I'm like, oh, these guys are fucking scary. You know, there's not a single one of them, honestly. They have good defenses, and Michigan's run game is stellar. I mean, Ohio State's passing attack is stellar, but I don't know, man. It's just like this is the most balanced year for me in terms of like I don't see anybody who I'm like they are definitely winning a title this year. I don't see it. And
End of the
I
year,
thought-
though, Michigan and Ohio State are losing top receiver, top running back to the draft. So,
oh yeah, I mean, man, I'm more intrigued about this, like right now this year. See how this plays out.
Harbaugh's gone after this year, especially with what just broke with the stealing scandal. He's done. He will not survive that. He can
We'll
win
see.
the
It's-
Natty, probably still won't survive that.
With the NCAA, you never really know.
You don't think? I think Mike.
This is
Ford
definitely
said-
the most
Mike
open
Ford
year.
said it best. It'll take 3. He was like, "Well, let's see what this does, and I'll wait for the findings in 3 years." He's like, "Yeah, that's fine." Well, gentlemen, we're not a Big Ten show. We're not an SEC channel. We're not an ACC channel. And we're not a USC or Utah show. So, any final thoughts on this Oregon Wazoo game without mentioning the word Utes, Utah, road game next week, or any of that sort of narrative? Now, I'm being very, very specific here. So if you mention any of that, I'm muting you. You're shut off.
No, it was nice to see this game kind of went as we expected. I thought. I mean, we kind of knew there was going to be a bit of a sluggish element to it, just coming off an emotional high last week. Being Wazoo, they always play us tough, no matter where we are. So it was nice to capitalize, see the ground game open up. I feel like everybody did exactly what they were supposed to do, especially with the defense being so rotational today. We saw a lot of guys get some reps, a lot of guys make some meaningful plays in different capacities. So that was nice. Overall, it was a solid game, though. I have zero complaints going into next week. I know some people voiced the concern about the passing defense a little bit, but I just remind them how many rotational bodies we put out there and what kind of spread offense Wazoo runs. Yeah, I'm happy with it, though. I'm going to go to bed happy tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I don't have many complaints at all. I mean, I kind of figured this is going to be a little bit of a slugfest in the first half. We definitely were emotional after the loss last week, so kind of figured it was going to come down to that, but we play those games off. But I'm a happy Duck fan tonight, so I can't complain.
Yeah, no complaints here. Good victory, slow start, like we all kind of figured. Once it got to halftime, I kind of had a good feeling, especially with us getting the ball first. But then we didn't do nothing, and I was like, ugh. But once we got that second score to go up, I think it was 24-13, I kind of figured the game was pretty much in hand at that point. And we controlled the clock and controlled the tempo of the game, and just got to where our secondary needs some work, obviously. Hopefully next week, Curry Jackson's back, and Jalil's a little better than he was this week. And we get some decent help from the backside and control. the tempo of the game next week. Got to run the ball. Run the ball.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, yeah, the first half, I was like, ooh. But as I text you guys, I was like, I kind of like deferring it these days. A lot of times Oregon would take the ball first, but I kind of like deferring it. Get the defense out there, get them acclimated, get them warmed up, see what we're dealing with initially. And, again, props to Washington State. Of course, they didn't come to just play around and take a loss. They came to, play ball. So at the end of the day, not the prettiest game, but hey, we'll take the win, and we have to move on to next week, which we will get into Tuesday, as well as you sore losers on your score predictions. Tuesday, you calm down. Every one of you, calm down. If Bo makes us stay out there longer and Wazoo not drain the clock so much, I might have been correct. Wazoo decided to burn the clock at the end of the second half. So any final thoughts or other final thoughts really quickly going into as we get ready for Utah? Because otherwise.
Oh, I think I'm good to go. It was a nice win. It's Washington State. They're on a landslide right now, so do with that what we will. As of tonight, I'm looking forward to next week already.
And I got nothing. I'm just looking forward to next week. 1-0, baby.
I'm good to go.
No one here said, "Hey, Sean, where the hell are our cookies?" No one asked, "Where the hell are our cookies?"
I ain't in my Trumbull uniform. I can't be the cookie man today. I may still be the cookie man, but I can't be today.
I get everyone. Everyone just follow these tools on the links down below.
Hey, next Saturday, y'all might see me in that uniform again, okay? We'll just have to wait and see.
But anyways, just make sure everyone knows. Derek, where do people find you? Let them know.
Right down here. Wait, who's Derek on Twitter? That's where I stay. Catch me on Twitter.
Sean.
Yeah, you can always catch me in Chubby Nerd 5 on TikTok and Sean Howard 778 on Instagram, or you can add me on Facebook as Sean Howard. Whatever you feel like.
That's where you find Spaz.
Yeah, you find me right there. Where'd it go? There it is. Somewhere over there. Right there. Rocky Classic on Twitter. Or Rocky Classic on TikTok.
You heard it first here. That's where you can find him. And you can find me at Exploring with Ben on Twitter as listed below, and Exploring with Ben and Sam here on YouTube, or here and on Tuesdays with these gentlemen for the weekly show here on the Oregon channel, or Sunday night on the main channel for the After Dark show. Spaz is there sometimes. Sometimes he's there. I'm not sure if he's actually regularly there, but he's there sometimes. But so we do appreciate everyone tuning in. What's that?
I'm going to Spaz to walk in straight line real quick.
No, don't ask him to do that. No.
I fell to see.
Yeah, yes. I'm pretty sure he will. Pretty sure he will. Pretty sure he will.
Oh. Oh, shit.
You got to hit him up on Twitter to do that, there, David.
At the Rocky Classic.
Oh,
Well, everyone, hey, appreciate you guys joining in. We'll be right here on Tuesday night, as noted, for the. Why do these tabs get? There it is. For the Oregon Ducks live show here, right here on this channel, Tuesday night. So make sure you subscribe, hit that notification. You'll see it go live as we posted earlier in the day. And make sure to hit the like button. It helps the show a lot and spreads it out, helps grow the channel. And until Tuesday, gentlemen,
until
we're gonna be
Tuesday.
we're at least happy ducks right now. At least we're happy ducks.
We're happy ducks.
One big happy duck.
All right, Jonathan Smith. Jesus. I
Don't call him.
Yeah. Spaz has had a little too much tonight. Everyone, good night. Jesus, Spaz.